Welcome to Unit 3. So we are doing, Unit 3 is all about polynomials, so polynomial expressions. So in this section, we are doing operations again with these polynomials. So we're starting with section 15-2, which is about multiplying. So we're on page 245 in your Springboard book. So open that up and we'll go ahead and get started. Now this section kind of starts off doing adding and subtracting problems like we did in class. So you can look over those if you need a couple extra practice problems. So let's actually jump to the next page on 246 here, okay, where they say multiplying polynomials looks more complicated than it is. You simply just distribute each term to each other term in the expression, okay? So for these, we're multiplying, we're just distributing some more. It's just not 2 by 2 anymore, so we're not technically foiling. We're just distributing 2 more terms. So they break it down like this in their book, okay? But I normally wouldn't do it that way. I would just like distribute the x to every term in the next one. And then I would distribute the 3 to every term in the next expression. And then at the end, we would combine up all of our like terms, okay? So let's actually go to the examples on the next page. So this check your understanding, 7, A, B, C, and D. I'm going to go through a couple of these problems on the next page. I just need a little bit more room than what your book gave us. So let's look at this problem. So in A, I have a binomial, 2 terms, times a trinomial, something with 3 terms. So like I just kind of explained, we're just going to distribute this one thing at a time. So I'm going to distribute the x to everything. So x times x squared, we have 1x, and then we multiply it with 2, we're going to end up with 3. So this becomes x to the 3rd power. Okay, next we're going to have x times 4x. That's going to give us a plus 4x squared. And then lastly, we're going to have x times negative 5. So that gives us a negative 5x. Okay. Next, we're going to distribute the 5 to every term. So I do these a little different. I like to line up my like terms. So when I do 5 times x squared, I'm actually going to write it down here, 5x squared. Instead of having a long line, I just kind of line them up with like terms, what goes with what. Next, then we would have 5 times 4x, which would give us a plus 20x. And then last, 5 times a negative 5 is negative 25. So now we just kind of just combine like terms, okay? So if you line them up with what goes with what, it makes it kind of easy to just add vertically. We don't have any other cubes, so it's just x to the 3rd. Having a hard time reading my little 3. X to the 3rd. And then 4x squared and 5x squared gives us 9x squared. Negative 5 plus 20 is 15. And then there was no other 25, so that would just come down, minus 25. So there is our product, our answer to a multiplication problem. Okay. So let's do one more. Let's do B here. So same thing. If you want to rearrange the order here and put the 2 terms first, doesn't matter. But I'm just going to go ahead and distribute. So we have 2x squared times 2x. So that gives me 4x cubed. We add those exponents there. And then 2x times a negative 3 would be negative 6x squared. There's our first one. Now I'm going to distribute the 3x. So 3x times 2x is 6x squared. So again, I'm going to line that up under my other squared. And then we have 3x times negative 3, which is negative 9x. Okay, lastly, let's distribute this negative 8 through. So negative 8 times 2x, that's negative 16x. And then negative 8 times negative 3 is a positive 24. So that's everything distributed. So now I'm just going to collect my like terms. So there's no other cubes. Negative 6x plus 6x actually ends up canceling out. So we don't have any more x squareds. Here, negative 9 minus 16, that's negative 25 x's. And then your plus 24. And there's your product. Okay. I'm going to go through just one more with C. This is probably the hardest one you would have because you have a trinomial times a trinomial. So lots of distributing here. Let's move this down a little bit so it gives me more space. Okay, so let's go through C. X squared times x squared is going to give us x to the fourth. X squared times 3x, that's 3x cubed. And then x squared times a -1 is negative x squared. So there's our first term distributed. Now let's distribute the middle term here. So I'm going to have negative x times x squared. That's going to give me a negative x cubed. Next, we'll have negative x times 3x. So that's a negative 3x squared. And again, I'm just lining them up under my like terms. And then lastly, negative x times a -1 is positive 1x. Right, last thing to distribute is the 2. So 2 times x squared is going to give us 2x squared. 2 times 3x is a positive 6x. And then 2 times -1 is a -2. Let's add up all of our like terms, and then we're done. So there's no other x to the fourths. X cubed minus an x cubed is going to give me a 2, so 2x cubes. We have a negative x squared minus 3, that'd be -4, but plus 2 would give us a negative 2x squared. 1x plus 6x, that's 7x's, and then minus 2 at the end. So there's this product for a trinomial times a trinomial. So that one has the most work because it has the most distributing, but again, it's just taking one term at a time and distributing it through. So I'm going to have you guys actually try letter D on your own. So try D. See if you can get the product there. So distribute it out and see what you get. Okay, here's my work. So these are a little off now. That's okay. But, I didn't want to delete everything. So what I did is I distributed the x squared here to x to the third. That's x to the fifth. X squared times x to the fourth is x cubed. And then I distributed the -1 through. So here's the end result, our product. Okay. So when we're multiplying polynomials, all you're doing is distributing. Okay, so just be really careful. Just go slow with it. Watch your powers. When you multiply exponents, you add the powers together.